God is pulling back the veil on your life right now. And what's about to be revealed is going to shock you. People you trusted are about to be exposed for who they really are. Situations you thought were blessings are going to be revealed as traps. Relationships you valued are going to show their true nature. Opportunities you are about to pursue are going to be uncovered as distractions. God is exposing evil around you, not to hurt you or scare you, but to protect you, redirect you, and position you for the blessings He has that are being blocked by the very things He's about to reveal. Pay attention to what He shows you in the coming days and weeks, because your response to these exposures will determine whether you step into freedom or remain in bondage. The evil God is exposing isn't necessarily dramatic or obvious. It's often subtle. Wolves in sheep's clothing, enemies disguised as friends, poison packaged as provision, destruction wrapped in attractive appearances. The Bible warns us that Satan masquerades as an angel of light, which means evil rarely looks evil at first. It looks helpful, friendly, beneficial, even godly. But underneath the attractive exterior is an agenda to derail you, drain you, distract you, or destroy you. God is about to expose what's hidden so you can make informed decisions instead of being deceived by appearances. Let me tell you specifically what God is exposing around you. First, He's exposing people who have hidden agendas. These are individuals who have presented themselves as friends, supporters, or helpers, but their true motivation has been to use you, manipulate you, or position themselves to benefit from your progress. They've smiled to your face while plotting behind your back. They've spoken kindly while harboring jealousy or resentment. They've offered help while secretly hoping you'd fail. God is about to reveal who these people are through their own words, actions, or circumstances that expose their true hearts. Second, God is exposing opportunities that are actually traps. You might have been excited about a job offer, business partnership, investment opportunity, or relationship possibility that looked perfect on the surface. But God sees what you can't see, the fine print that would enslave you, the hidden costs that would drain you, the strings attached that would control you, or the long-term consequences that would destroy you. He's about to show you what's really behind these seemingly good opportunities so you can avoid making decisions that would have led to regret. Third, God is exposing patterns and cycles that have been keeping you stuck. Maybe it's a pattern of attracting the same type of toxic relationship repeatedly. Maybe it's a cycle of financial instability caused by decisions you keep making. Maybe it's a habit that's been sabotaging your progress. God is going to shine light on these patterns in ways you can't ignore anymore, forcing you to confront what you've been avoiding and make the changes necessary for breakthrough. Fourth, God is exposing spiritual attacks that have been operating against you. There are assignments the enemy has deployed, spirits of confusion, discouragement, distraction, division, or delay that have been working subtly to hinder your progress. You might have blamed yourself, circumstances, or other people, not realizing there was a spiritual component. God is about to expose the spiritual warfare so you can fight it appropriately instead of just enduring it passively. Fifth, God is exposing your own blind spots and weaknesses that the enemy has been exploiting. This isn't condemnation, it's revelation for your protection. He's showing you where pride has made you vulnerable, where fear has paralyzed you, where unforgiveness has given the enemy access, or where compromise has created openings for attack. When you see these blind spots, you can address them and close doors the enemy has been using. Now, let me tell you how God exposes evil. Sometimes He does it through dreams or visions, where He shows you things you couldn't know naturally. Sometimes He does it through discernment, a sudden knowing in your spirit that something or someone isn't right, even though you can't articulate why. Sometimes He exposes things through other people. Someone warns you, shares information, or reveals something they witnessed. Sometimes He exposes evil through circumstances. Situations unravel in ways that reveal true motives. Hidden agendas become visible through events, or people's true natures emerge under pressure. Pay attention to all these channels. If you have a troubling dream about someone close to you, don't dismiss it as random. Ask God if He's trying to show you something. If you feel uneasy about an opportunity, despite it looking good on paper, honor that discernment. God might be warning you about something your natural mind can't detect. If someone trustworthy shares concerns about a person or situation in your life, listen instead of defending. God might be using them as a messenger. If circumstances mysteriously fall apart or reveal unexpected information, recognize that God might be orchestrating the exposure. When God exposes evil around you, here's how to respond. First, believe what He shows you, even if it contradicts what you want to believe. The hardest exposures to accept are the ones involving people we love or opportunities we desired. But God doesn't expose things to entertain you. He does it to protect you. Trust that His revelation is accurate even when it's painful. Second, act on what He reveals without delay. If He exposes a toxic relationship, create distance. If He reveals a bad opportunity, decline it. If He shows you a pattern you need to break, start making changes. Delayed obedience to God's warnings often results in experiencing the consequences He was trying to help you avoid. Third, don't broadcast every exposure publicly. Not everything God shows you is meant to be announced to everyone. Some exposures are for your knowledge and action only. Speaking publicly about certain revelations can create unnecessary drama, damage relationships beyond repair, or make you look vindictive. Handle exposures with wisdom and discretion. Fourth, forgive people whose evil God exposes, even as you distance yourself from them. Exposure isn't license for bitterness or revenge. You can remove people from your life while still releasing them through forgiveness. Forgiveness protects your heart even when boundaries protect your life. Fifth, thank God for the exposure. It might be uncomfortable or disappointing, but it's far better to know the truth than to remain deceived. Every exposure is an act of love from a father who protects his children from harm. Let me give you signs that God is beginning to expose evil around you. First, you start feeling increasingly uncomfortable in certain relationships or situations that used to feel fine. This discomfort isn't random. It's Holy Spirit conviction that something is wrong. Second, you'll begin noticing inconsistencies in people's words and actions that you overlooked before. God is sharpening your discernment to see what's really there. Third, you'll have dreams or receive warnings about specific people or situations. Don't dismiss these as anxiety. They might be divine warnings. Fourth, circumstances will begin revealing truth naturally. Conversations you weren't supposed to hear will happen in your presence. Information that was hidden will surface unexpectedly. Situations will develop in ways that force truth into the light. Fifth, you'll feel increasingly drawn to pull back from certain people or opportunities without knowing why. This withdrawal isn't you being antisocial, it's God creating protective distance before He reveals why the distance was necessary. As God exposes evil, you might feel hurt, betrayed, disappointed, or angry. These emotions are valid. Let yourself feel them, but don't let them control you. Process the pain with God in prayer. Talk to trusted counselors or mentors. Journal your feelings. But don't let the hurt make you cynical, bitter, or unable to trust anyone. Not everyone is evil. God is exposing specific threats so you can remove them and create space for genuine relationships and opportunities. Also recognize that exposures often come right before elevations. God clears out what would hinder you before He releases what would bless you. If He's exposing toxic people, it's because He's about to bring healthy relationships. If He's revealing bad opportunities, it's because He's about to open good ones. If He's showing you patterns to break, it's because He's preparing to release breakthrough. The exposure is preparation for promotion. Let me prophesy over your life. In the next 30 to 60 days, God is going to expose multiple things around you that have been operating in deception. Some exposures will be minor. You'll realize someone wasn't as trustworthy as you thought. Some will be major. You'll discover that a situation you are about to commit to would have been disastrous. Every exposure, whether minor or major, is God's protection manifesting in your life. As things are revealed, you might feel like your world is falling apart. It's not. It's being reorganized. God is removing what doesn't belong so He can position what does. Every relationship that ends due to exposure creates space for a better relationship. Every opportunity you decline after exposure creates room for the right opportunity. Every pattern you break opens the door to a new cycle of blessing. Pay attention. Watch carefully. Listen intently. God is speaking through multiple channels to show you what you need to see. Don't ignore the warnings. Don't dismiss the discernment. Don't rationalize away the red flags. Honor what God reveals, act on His warnings, and trust that His exposure is protecting you from harm you can't yet see. The evil around you is being exposed. Your job is to pay attention, believe what God shows you, and respond with obedience. When you do, you'll emerge from this season of exposure into a season of blessing, where the people around you are genuine, the opportunities before you are God-ordained, and the path ahead of you is clear. God is exposing evil not to discourage you, but to position you. Pay attention and watch how His protection becomes the foundation for your promotion. Word count 1,784. This season of exposure also serves as a test of your own character. How you respond when God reveals evil around you demonstrates your maturity and spiritual health. Will you respond with wisdom or react with vengeance? Will you forgive while protecting yourself or become bitter while punishing others? Will you learn from what's exposed or repeat the same patterns with different people? Your response to these exposures determines what you take from this season into the next. Remember that people who are exposed aren't always permanently evil. Sometimes they're hurting people who hurt others, or they're operating in their own brokenness and need healing themselves. This doesn't mean you should remain vulnerable to them, but it does mean you can pray for them while maintaining boundaries. Your distance protects you, your prayers bless them, and both can coexist. Also recognize that some of what God exposes might involve your own behavior or attitudes. He might show you how you've been naive, enabling, or dismissive of warning signs. He might reveal how your own insecurity attracted toxic people, or how your own people-pleasing opened doors to manipulation. Receive these self-exposures with the same grace you'd want others to give you, and make the necessary changes to prevent future vulnerability. The exposure season can feel lonely as God removes people and closes doors. But remember that removal always precedes replacement. God never takes something away without having something better prepared. The loneliness is temporary, the protection is permanent. Trust the process even when it's painful. Document what God exposes, not to hold it against people, but to remind yourself of His faithfulness in protecting you. When you look back months or years from now, you'll be grateful for every exposure that saved you from harm. Your testimony of how God revealed truth and redirected your path will encourage others who are facing their own seasons of exposure. Stand firm in faith as the exposures unfold. Don't let the disappointment of what's revealed cause you to lose trust in God or people in general. Not everyone is deceptive. Not every opportunity is a trap. God is simply removing what's harmful and clearing space for what's beneficial. The end result will be a life surrounded by genuine people, pursuing authentic opportunities and walking in clarity about God's purposes. Pay attention. Believe what you see. Act on what you know. Trust God's protection and prepare for the blessing that follows exposure. A season where what surrounds you aligns with what God has called you to, and the evil that once threatened you becomes a testimony of how God protects those He loves. Word count, 2,638. This exposure season tests your character. How you respond when God reveals evil demonstrates your maturity. Will you respond with wisdom or react with vengeance? Will you forgive while protecting yourself? Your response determines what you carry forward. People who are exposed aren't always permanently evil. Sometimes they are hurting people operating in brokenness. This doesn't mean remaining vulnerable, but you can pray for them while maintaining boundaries. Your distance protects you, your prayers bless them. God might expose your own behavior, naivety, enabling, or dismissing warning signs. Receive these self-exposures with grace and make necessary changes to prevent future vulnerability. Exposure seasons can feel lonely as God removes people and closes doors, but removal always precedes replacement. God never takes without having something better prepared. Document what God exposes, not to hold against people, but to remind yourself of His protection. When you look back, you'll be grateful for exposures that saved you from harm. Your testimony will encourage others facing their own exposure seasons. Don't let disappointment cause you to lose trust in God or people generally. Not everyone is deceptive. God is removing what's harmful and clearing space for what's beneficial. The result will be life surrounded by genuine people, pursuing authentic opportunities, walking in clarity. Pay attention. Believe what you see. Act on what you know. Trust God's protection. Prepare for blessing that follows exposure, a season where what surrounds you aligns with God's calling, and evil that once threatened becomes testimony of His protection. As exposures accelerate in coming weeks, maintain spiritual disciplines that keep you anchored. Pray for discernment to recognize what God reveals. Study Scripture for wisdom to respond appropriately. Stay in fellowship with spiritually mature people who can provide counsel and accountability. Fast periodically to sharpen spiritual sensitivity and strengthen resolve to obey what God shows you. Remember that exposure is always for your benefit, never for your harm. A Father who loves you enough to reveal danger loves you too much to leave you vulnerable to it. Every uncomfortable truth He shows you spares you from painful consequences you would have faced had deception continued. Finally, understand that those who walk in integrity and pursue God wholeheartedly will always face attempts from evil to derail, distract, or destroy them. The exposures you're experiencing prove you're a threat to darkness, which is why darkness has deployed strategies against you. But greater is He who is in you than he who is in the world, and no weapon formed against you shall prosper. God's exposure of evil is proof that the enemy's schemes are failing and God's protection is prevailing. Stand confident in God's love and protection. Trust His revelations completely. Act on His warnings immediately, and watch as every exposure that seemed devastating in the moment becomes testimony of His faithfulness and wisdom in your life. The evil is being exposed. Pay attention, respond wisely, and step into the cleared, blessed space God is creating for you.